in the traditional sense, sex usually serves two purposes. It's either pleasure or procreation. But there's also this concept of Tantra sex, wherein sex can be used as a medium through which you achieve liberation. Could you take us through that concept and help us understand it better?
So, people, as when you give them a framework, they'll, as you said, they'll find a loophole in it. So now the logic is that when semen flows down out of your body, you get pleasure, but you also grow old.
Okay.
The logic is if it goes up, I can be immortal, right? So how do I become immortal? Instead of taking the semen out of my body, I'll retain it in my body and use some clever technology to push it up my spine so that it goes to my head and then gives me some immortality and magical powers. These are called siddha. So in Hanuman Chalisa, there is Ashta Siddhi ke data. So Hanuman is considered to be a bachelor god and therefore has achieved that level of immortality. And so the celibacy has given us magical power. And but it is also, so in Tantra, the celibacy is combined with sexuality, where even though you are surrounded by sexual forces, you do not succumb to it. In fact, you exhaust the sources of pleasure. So these are these complex ideas that you find in Vajrayana Buddhism, very explicit, but it's also there in the Hindu traditions. But in the Vajrayana Buddhism, you have these imagery of these goddesses copulating with the gods, and the gods, while pleasuring the goddesses, never really sort of succumb to the temptation. And that apparently gives them some magical power, and they say it's called urdhva retas. Urdhva retas is the semen moving upwards towards your brain and giving you the moon shaped. So the whole idea of the way the moon wanes and loses its luster, it can be, that's why Shivji's, the moon is on top of his head, and these symbols, these tantric symbols. But then we should be careful of these kind of interpretations, because the other day I was seeing Jim Carrey talking about how Santa Claus comes up and down and he says that is also a tantric symbol, and I'm like, oh, this is very interesting, because anybody who goes up and down, it's the tantric idea. So coming down the chimney to give us gifts, but actually you have to go up to meet Jesus in the rapture. And I'm like, oh my God. People really, so, this is what the human imagination can do, right? We can just fabulous stories, and they really are exciting, right? If I tell you that Santa Claus comes down and gives you gifts, and that's really a sexual metaphor, and actually you have to hold back, and instead of gifts you should go up to Jesus. So I'm like, really? And I saw this on one of those tweet videos going around, and the person sending it to me was saying, Devdutt, is it actually true? And I'm like, you can tell anything in this world. And I keep saying that, can you verify this? How do I verify? Tell me, how do I verify? Can I measure the upward movement of semen? Because no scientific literature talks about it. So you believe, right? If you don't see it. If you Vishwas wala such is, then that's acceptance, right? You accept it. So you believe it, and you ask yourself, why do you want to believe in it? Because it gives you a sense of. So you have in India, you had the Vedic tradition, which was very sensual and enjoyed the material world. Then you have the Shramana traditions, which go into celibacy. And then came the Tantric traditions, which sort of challenged this celibacy and said, I can be celibate in an ecosystem of sensuality. So you have the Nath Yogi traditions, the Yogini traditions, all those, Radha Krishna traditions. They'll say Krishna is actually Achyuta. He doesn't really succumb to his pleasure, but he gives pleasure to everyone. So this kind of he's an immortal amongst mortals. So all these kind of sentences emerge. So you see the idea transforming from a normal sexual behavior to celibacy being glorified, to tantric sex being glorified, to restrained sex, which is dharma, just having sex for babies and nothing else. These kind of ideas start emerging in the world, to the point of what is moral sex, what is immoral sex, what is magical sex. So humans come up with all kinds of interesting ideas.